So for the uninitiated, those not paying attention, not playing fantasy football, let me give you an update on the fairly important position for a quarterback, the wide receiver unit for the Niners. Debo, Jaden Daniels has him now. Debo's gone. Brandon Ayuk can't play until week 6. Juwan Jennings, contract dispute, not happy, and he's hurt. Ricky Pearsall, year 2, he had 31 catches. He's fine. He's not a 1. He's probably a 2-ish. And Demarcus Robinson, not a big volume guy. He may be suspended to start the season. So basically, if Christian McCaffrey, let's say, twists an ankle, the great Brock Purdy will have one of the weakest skill groups in the NFL. And remember, last year he was 1-6 against playoff teams. But my take on this is, well, this is real life in the NFL. This is not Brock Purdy's first 21 games. People were healthy, stacked roster, excellent defense, didn't have to win shootouts. He was very good in his first 21 starts. But in his last 15 starts, it looks like this current wide receiver group. He's 6-9, 20 touchdowns, 12 picks, and a passer rating in the mid-90s. Why? His teammates are older, they're brittle. They brought in Robert Saleh to help the defense, but Greenlaw and Tafanga are gone, and outside of Bosa, they don't have any real dominant players up front, so he's got to win more shootouts.
I'm just so tired of this type of narrative. And it's so frustrating because like this is why people like Brew and other people always will then bring up a Patrick Mahomes' numbers and be like, well, look, he put up similar numbers when his, receivers and O-line, when he had an average offensive roster. That's the way you want to define it. And they'll say, yeah, but he still got to the Super Bowl. And then downplay the impact that a defense has and special teams and if and Andy Reid and whatnot. Don't get me wrong, the 49ers have Shanahan and now they have Saleh, so and hopefully that defense should be better, but it's just there's certain words that I want to use that I'm just going to refrain from using. So I'm trying to think of nicer ways to phrase this, honestly. Because it's just I wish I could use the word that I want to use. I'll just say it's just not fair. It's just not fair, and it's just not consistent. And saying that this is life in the NFL, it's just not true. It's just not true. I'm a massive defender of Joe Burrow and the lack of playoff success that they've had, or just even reaching the playoffs, and how bad that defense is and all of that. And it's if you take away his O-line, you give him a bad run game, and you have Jamar Chase only play for 8 games, and T. Higgins is just not there at all, what numbers do you think Joe Burrow's putting up? And again, I think Joe Burrow's elite. And so I'm trying to use another quarterback outside of Patrick Mahomes, but we've seen the situation. We saw Patrick Mahomes with great players and a healthy roster, and then we see them with a banged up roster, and his numbers plummeted. And so if Patrick Mahomes, the reason why we always use Mahomes is because if he's considered the gold standard, why would we then expect Brock Purdy to do more than that? And even if you now concede and admit that Brock Purdy is not as great as Patrick Mahomes, why are we then going to hold him to the standard and expect him to be able to do something that even the Mahomeses of the NFL struggle with? Or the Josh Allens, the Lamar Jacksons, the Joe Burrows. It doesn't really actually seem fair. And not to mention, even those quarterbacks, like Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, these quarterbacks are not going to look great, put up great numbers. First off, since we're just using strictly bottom line numbers, as well as win games reliably and consistently, let alone winning Super Bowls. It just doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. There's a reason why the Chiefs went out and traded for DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, this situation that Colin's trying to map out right now. Do the Chiefs reach the Super Bowl if they don't have DeAndre Hopkins? If Hollywood Brown doesn't come back and Pacheco never comes back? Do they, it's just Kareem Hunt and whoever. I think Juju. Or Xavier Worthy. Excuse me. Do they make it to the Super Bowl? I don't think so. It was such a fine line between them just even getting there in the first place. We're going to say that those other players didn't have a single impact at all. Well, then why does anyone have any players at all then? Then it doesn't matter for anyone, I guess. Right? Would have Lamar Jackson, the Baltimore Ravens, been better if his number one wide receiver, Zay Flowers, was there? Yeah, they would have been better. They would have had a better team, obviously. Do the Philadelphia Eagles win the Super Bowl if A.J. Brown's gone and Devontae only plays one half? I don't think so. I mean, that game gets weird fast then as to what happens. Then it really does become probably a defensive battle, and it's like, Jalen Hurts probably has to really use his legs a lot more. And then, I don't know. That would be a fascinating game to watch, but things would be very different. That I would be confident in. So it's just, again, to me, it's just these types of stats and this type of argument that we're trying to craft, I don't get the point. If there was a huge rallying cry for people to say Brock Purdy is the second best quarterback in the NFL or something, then maybe I could understand a little bit. But people say that Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL, and his numbers absolutely struggled. They were either equal or less than what Brock Purdy then did. With a coach, as great as I think Shanahan is, he's not Andy Reid. Shanahan is absolutely a top coach to me. Top coach. But Andy Reid's better. Andy Reid, to me, is the GOAT offensive coach. That much is very much obvious to me. And then again, defense and special teams. These things matter. And if anything, you could say, Brock Purdy actually did pretty good considering how much of a mess that roster was. He didn't implode. The team wasn't good enough. The defense wasn't good enough. Special teams wasn't good enough. They're out there having weird punts, missed field goals. Defense was just, I don't even know what that was at times. And he put up decent numbers, good enough numbers. I mean, think about it. This team last year was an absolute mess. An absolute mess. Both offensively and defensively. He was top 10 in passing yards. And I think he missed a game too, right? He missed a couple games. And so he was top 10. It's not hard to imagine that if he played the full season, he would have been, quick math, he would have been around top 5 in passing yards. Seems pretty good to me. Yards per attempt, 8.5, which I actually think is bad. Because because I did this before, he had a further average depth of target. And I kept saying, because I kept pointing to what Mahomes was doing with, what Andy was doing with Mahomes, and was like, Shanahan, your team is a mess right now. You got to make things a little bit easier. Try to get some more yak. Have some short, easier passes for Brock Purdy, because his yards per attempt, a lot of times yards per attempt is not really, we use that too loosely, because it's not really air yards. It can be incredibly misleading. And if anything, I was just they're asking actually too much of Brock Purdy. They're not actually helping him out enough, and they didn't. But still top 3. And again, he missed a couple games, and so his touchdowns, he's top 15. Not hard to imagine he would have had another 4 touchdowns or so. Puts him right at top 10. So I don't understand. I really don't. I mean, Matthew Stafford, Patrick Mahomes, 2 great quarterbacks. 2 quarterbacks who I think are awesome. They dealt with injuries, O-line, receivers down, in and out of the lineup. They both dealt with that. So did Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy had a higher pass rating, 94.6. Stafford, 93.7. Mahomes, 93.5. And the reason why one team went to the Super Bowl, one team got to the playoffs and got to the divisional round and played the Eagles pretty good is defense better quarterback, which is fair, but like not all the reason why. Better coaching, and specifically for Stafford and the Rams, their roster then got healthy. That O-line then got healthy. Puka Nacua was there. Cooper Kupp was there. Like, they were all now firing at cylinders, and I think for the second half of the season, they had the best defense in the NFL. Like, these things all add up and matter. Like, nothing was easy or given to the 49ers, and specifically Brock Purdy. Nothing. But we want to just kind of, act like it is, and I don't think that's fair. I mean, this is what I was talking about before. The average depth of target was 9 for Brock Purdy. Top 5 in the NFL. And like, again, I put this on Shanahan. I'm like, help this guy get some layups here. Like this he's working with receivers he's barely worked with. Everyone's in and out of the lineup. Like, help this guy out a little bit here. I mean, come on. He's throwing deeper passes than Stafford. Deeper passes than Mahomes. Trying to see who else. Deeper passes than Baker, Tua, Joe Burrow. I mean, you don't have the roster for that right now. The game plan shouldn't have had that either. And yet they were still relying on it. I put that on Shanahan, honestly. I've said that all throughout last season, that he did not do a good enough job of adjusting of what he needed to do throughout this season with all the injuries. I mean, if this defense was a bit better and a couple, avoid some untimely special teams issues, I mean, they easily could have won 9-10 games. And depending on who it was against, like the Rams or something, like, they would have maybe found themselves in the playoffs. And then would we have said Brock Purdy carried this team to the playoffs? Like, it's just, I don't know. And of course, when your team is healthy and your roster is healthy, you're going to win more games. You're going to have a higher completion percentage. You're going to have a better touchdown to interception ratio, and you're going to have a higher passer rating. If that is true for Tom Brady, for Patrick Mahomes, for Josh Allen, for Lamar Jackson, for Aaron Rodgers, for Peyton Manning, if it's true for every other quarterback, it's certainly going to be true for Brock Purdy. Now, if he fell off a cliff, that would be one thing, which I don't think he did. That's number one. Number two, if he had this great roster around him and he was putting up like 67% completion percentage and he had 33 touchdowns and 20 interceptions and a passer rating of 103, but he had a ton of passing yards or something like that, it's just like, well, then you'd be like, yeah, roster seems to be doing a lot of the legwork here. Or, the scheme, what Shanahan is running here. Like, that's not the case. He had a great roster around him, and he was an awesome distributor of the ball, an awesome decision maker. He executed and ran that offense perfectly. Did he need to elevate himself a little bit more in some key moments like the playoffs? Sure. Absolutely. That's totally fair. Which is why I'm not saying he's a top 3 quarterback in the NFL. But, like, we're still downplaying. And again, if you're looking at this from the 49ers perspective, you're like, we need to build the way how we win a Super Bowl is by building a great team. That's what we need to do. And we know that our quarterback can be awesome, can be a literal top quarterback in the NFL when we put a great team around him. We have to stop pretending like we can say that about all quarterbacks, because it's just not true. It's just not true. It's really not. So, those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Brock Purdy and the 49ers? Do you trust Brock Purdy to carry the 49ers offense? How do you make sense of graphics like this? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. It's whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.